Barbecue. Hello and welcome to Boost, Booze, and Barbecue. This is Andy, and we're doing a call-in show, everybody. This is totally unscripted, completely off the cuff. The only thing I will be editing for is the gaps and the intermissions. We're just going to roll straight on through. So I hope you guys enjoy and appreciate. There's been no prep work. We're just letting it fly. And I'll tell you, the reason why I'm doing this is because we did a call-in show here a couple months ago, and it was received very well. I was really surprised. I had a ton of people who were messaging me going, "Oh man, I wish I could have called in. Really enjoy listening to the show. Really wanted to ask you guys some questions." And so I went ahead and just put out a blast on social media saying, "Hey everybody, we're going to be recording live today. So at 5 p.m., hit me up, put the phone number out there." And I want to remind everybody that phone number is good all of the time. You can leave a message there. When I am in the studio, that phone number is always live, so you might actually get me picking up. And so I encourage you to use that number, call in anytime you'd like. And if I'm not able to get to you, you're just going to be able to leave a voicemail, and we always look forward to hearing them. And you may end up hearing your voicemail on the show. So tonight, I am just going to be sitting here shooting the breeze with you guys until we get a caller on the line. I am starting a couple of minutes early just so that I could get the intro in there. And it's always a little risky doing these shows, you know what I mean? You never quite know who's going to call in and what they're going to want to talk about. But I think that's a lot of the fun for me. And speaking of fun, over on Pardon My Fork, the sister show, which can be found at boostboostbbq.com/pardonmyfork, by the way. We have had some really great guests on lately. We had Josh and Davi from Duckchar. They called me and they talked about their premium duck breast that they sell. It's from a very specific French breed duck called the Moulard. And you'll know the Moulard not just because of the duck meat, but also because that's the primary breed that they get foie gras from. And I hope I'm saying that right. If I have any listeners in France, they're probably going to call me up and say, "You are pronouncing it wrong." To which I say, "I'm sorry. Foie gras, foie gras, figue, however you say it. Use a little tongue, don't use a little tongue. Tell me to plug my nose. Foie gras." Anyways, foie gras comes primarily from the Moulard duck. When you have a duck that size, you're going to get a lot of meat off of it. You're going to get a lot of fat off of it. And of course, your organ meat is just going to be bigger, richer, chunkier. You're going to be able to cook up a lot with it. So go and check that out. We also had Ann Reese Jones on from Ann Cooks Keto. That's going to be coming out this Friday. Really interesting conversation. She has been doing keto for the last, I think she said 9 months, and her weight loss transformation is astonishing. I mean, the photos, I don't know. I was taken back when I saw the photos. I mean, it was really stunning, and it has convinced me that I need to cut the carbs out in my life. So I think I'll be doing a little bit of the keto diet. Looking forward to experimenting with some keto barbecue recipes. I really don't think it's going to be that difficult. You know, I don't think I'll put sugar in my rub quite so much. Might use like monk fruit extract or something like that, but I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. I don't really eat that much sugar anyway, so I don't do soda. I don't do pastries or anything like that. So I think it'll be a pretty easy transition for me. And, we'll give it a shot. I've done the vegan challenge a couple times. I've gone vegan for months at a time. Now we're going to go a little meat eater. Give that a whirl. And it looks like we've got our first caller on the phone. Caller.
Hello.
Who's this?
Russell Sawyer from G Beach, Virginia.
Russell. You know what, buddy? I met you at the World Food Championship.
Yes, you did. You gave me a sweet mac and cheese Juicy Lucy.
That's right. Yes. And you did a demo in the demo truck, didn't you?
Yes, I got to help Mark Conway cook with Bo Jackson on Max.
Very cool, dude. How was that?
It was great, except, we didn't have any time to get in there ahead of time. We had like 5 minutes. So they're asking me, "Hey, where's this?" I don't know. I just got here. But, it was fun to sit there in a little bit of controlled chaos and Bo's asking me for stuff, and I'm like, I have no idea, Mr. Jackson, sir.
You're not making him very happy, Russell.
Yeah, I know. And then he called me the silent one because I didn't have a microphone, and so I'm just kind of walking around and standing behind him. And then the next day, he pointed me out of the crowd and was like, "Oh, look, there's the silent one." I was like, "Oh, that's a little creepy, but all right, cool."
It just means he's got good eyes still.
Yeah.
What did you end up cooking up there?
I was in the chef category. So my first dish, oh, you mean up on Maximus?
Mm-hmm.
We were making, 3 of his steaks from the Bo Jackson signature meat line. And we did a skirt steak, a ribeye, and New York strip. And then Mark did, I think, like a blueberry jalapeno. I'm trying to remember exactly.
Blueberry jalapeno sauce.
It was one of those things that when he told me about it, I'm like, and then I tried it. I was like, oh, wow, this is amazing. And it paired well. Just the deep earthiness of the blueberry, a little bit of heat of the jalapenos, and it all gets into had some apples and things. Yeah. I'm trying to remember that.
Well,
and that was a chaotic moment for me.
Oh, for sure, especially while you're trying to be up on the stage and doing everything. I do buy the whole blueberry jalapeno thing, though. We have a barbecue place that's real near me. They just opened, and I actually can't wait to have them on the show because they're competition barbecue people. But they have this peach barbecue sauce that they make, and I told the owner, man, you have got to do like a peach habanero because this peach sauce is amazing, but it doesn't quite have the heat that I normally like. And
right.
She was like, "Oh yeah, we can do something like that. Don't you worry. We'll get you some of that." So I can't wait for something like that to come around.
That's sorry, I had to. I'm in right near. I live right by the largest naval and air force base in the East Coast. So sometimes I get jet noise.
No problem. Are you not working tonight?
No, I'm actually at work, but I work in a tourist area on the ocean front, and so Tuesdays in January is slow.
Yeah, that makes sense. What restaurant are you at?
I'm with a place called Lunacy, like Lunasa.
Oh, I get it. Lunacy, Lunasea. I got it. And so if people wanted to check out what you were doing and where you're at, where would they go?
Go to Lunacy. On 22nd Street in Virginia. It's right at the ocean front. It's right off what's called the Strip down here.
Nice. All right, cool. Well, we're going to send people over there to check it out and to bother you while you're on shift, okay?
Sounds great.
Awesome, Russell. Hey, it was great talking to you, brother. Thank you.
Great talking to you, Ed.
Thanks, man. Well, that was cool. I forgot that I had met Russell at the World Food Championships. That dude, he walked up to everybody with a smile on his face and was so nice and so inviting. It was just contagious, and really glad he was able to call in. And one of these days, I'm going to get out there to try some of the cooking because, man, that restaurant, I looked up after he said Lunacy, and it threw me off, Lunacy. Oh, I get it, because you're right on the ocean front. But, that view is just beautiful. I would want to eat there every single day if I lived close enough to them. Oh, and we've already got another call. What is your name, my friend?
Chris Main.
Chris Main. I love your Facebook page, so I follow you because you're a barbecue guy, and you post some hilarious stuff, my friend.
I appreciate it, man.
What do you do What do you do these days as far as barbecue is concerned? Do you competition? Do you have a food truck?
Not so much. Backyard entertainment, feed the family, friends, neighbors. The competition it's down to the budget with the family right now, but later on down the road, hopefully get my hand in the pot. Yeah.
I feel that it's kind of spendy to drive all the way over there, and just to pack everything up, and you got to take a whole day and blah, blah, all the stuff, it's more expensive than people realize.
Yeah. I've been, looking at the SCA side of it, doing the state competitions to get into the atmosphere of it. Other than that, I hang out with my buddies who compete. That's pretty fun. So
Heck yeah. I need some friends around here that barbecue. At least barbecue well enough that it'll be a competition. Oh,
right. Good friends. If friends don't let friends eat bad barbecue.
That's right, man. That's right. As a matter of fact, I've called him out for it before, but a buddy of mine, Devin, he had the audacity to have 2 huge servings of my pulled pork one time and then look at me and go, Andy, it was good, but it wasn't your best. And then just look me in the eye as he ate the rest of the pulled pork that was in the container next to him. And I just thought, wow. All right. Okay.
It's a mixed compliment,
That's right. All right, man. So you're revving up for the Steak Cook-Off Association stuff, huh?
Yeah. That's pretty cool. I mean, doing steaks is there's a lot more to it once you look, behind the curtain, but it's definitely fun. It's fast. It's not too expensive. You're there for one day and out. No packing up, like the Beverly Hillbillies and, grandma on top of the wagon,
Yeah, exactly.
It's definitely fun. I was in one and, had a bunch of fun. It was, Maryland's first. So it's starting to make its way around the country and, state to state. So I hope to see a lot of people getting into it and taking off.
For sure.
Huge down south.
It's poised to take off all over the place. I don't know if you know Vic Clevenger, but he has a site that he runs called the Chimney Cartel. And they've had an entire event, like a full SCA event where you cooked over nothing but a charcoal chimney. I mean, if that's not accessible, I don't know what is.
So cool.
That's fully accessible for anyone.
Right. Cooking over the charcoal chimney is pretty neat. It's very intense. You're almost caveman cooking, knocking the air right out of the equation.
Mm-hmm.
Right over the coals. But that's tricky, but it's fun.
Have you gotten to the point where you're using your scissors to like trim the edges and shape it and stuff like that?
So you don't get your the furl. Same with briskets. I've seen some of the people I lean on as mentors, pick up tricks from them, but trimming the edges on briskets so you have a crumbled edge, start breaking up on you. Doing the wrap, roping up, breaking up some marine experience, doing the maritime experience, should I say, tying up your ribeyes.
And that just keeps, it holds everything together and it keeps that steak from flattening out. And it also evens out your cook time, right?
Yeah.
Cause somebody told me that when you do that, when you tie it up real tight, you don't end up with spots that are more cooked than another because it all just kind of squishes together.
Yeah. That and the one side of it would be the cupping and the other would be the spinalis pulling away from the heart. It wants to just fall apart on you because you're separated by that fat around the spinalis on the inside of it, and it just wants to separate once it renders well. It's presentation at the end of the day. They only get one bite, so they all eat with their eyes when they see it first.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at the World Food Championships, they talked about how, don't worry too much about the visuals and you want to make it look pretty, but like don't spend too much time on it because it's only 15% of the total points. But you have to admit, it will impact the person judging you much more than just 15%.
Sure. Yeah. And I'm sure that varies every comp. So it's you got to factor it in. There's no way to not expect to win.
And do you have any idea?
Even get near.
Right. Do you have any idea what the point separation is typically when people are doing steak competitions?
I do not. No, sir.
I mean, I would bet that the top 5 people in any given competition are only separated by a couple points. So if you lose that 15 points for visuals anyways, you're done. Your day's over.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're off your medium rare mark, you're smoked.
Yep, exactly.
That would definitely count you out. You'd have to have perfect points.
Yep. All right, man, one more question for you. What are you drinking tonight, or what's your typical drink?
Typical drink, I'm a rum guy. I like a seasoned rum, dark rum, but tonight I'm actually just having a ice water. So I had the meatball subs I made for the family tonight, so a little preemptive heartburn going on. Don't need that in my life.
Hey, man, I like that you're a rum guy, though. I'm a huge rum guy, too, so shout out to you. That's awesome.
Right on, brother.
Do you have any...
thanks for looking me up, Andy.
Absolutely, Chris. Thank you for calling. Anything that you'd like to plug? You want people to go to, like, a website or anything for you?
No, just, everybody just have fun smoking and barbecuing, and I'll be here at the barbecue shanty. That's all I can say.
I like it. You're the man.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, Chris. We'll talk to you later.
I appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye.
Later on, Andy.
And you guys are popping out of the woodwork. I love it. So thank you. You know that we always appreciate hearing from our listeners, from our friends, from our barbecue, car, and booze families. So we always welcome anything. You can call the number that I've spread around our social media anytime and just leave a voicemail. We will listen to it. We will comment on it. We might even play it on the show. So anytime you feel like giving us a shout, do it. And if you'd like, leave your contact information and we'll try to get back to you and get a little dialogue going for the show. And already we've got another call lined up. So let's go over to it. Caller, you're on. Who's this?
Hi, this is Mark Bannock in Salem, Oregon.
Mark, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. I saw your Facebook post, and I thought I'd give a call in to see how things are going
in the
barbecue world.
It's good, man. It's real good. Haven't been doing too much barbecuing lately, unfortunately, but it's funny you say that. I have some baby back ribs in the fridge thawing, and I'm going to be throwing those on the smoker here in the next couple of days, so I will let you know how that barbecue is going.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. I have a crew out here in Salem that's putting my tiny house together, and I promised the setup crew ribs. So this Saturday, I'm going to also be putting some ribs on the trigger and making them some baked beans and some cornbread.
Nice. There you go. And for those of you at home who don't know who Mark Bannock is, husband of Kim Bannock and a very good cook in his own right, you won something at the World Food Championships. Remind me what it was.
Well, I won the Grand Throwdown, which was a competition between two grandpas and two grandmas.
Yes.
And they contacted me while we were in the middle of moving, and I went ahead and said, yeah, I'd do it, not knowing what I was getting into, but it was a fun competition, and I ended up winning. So
you're going to be defending champ, my friend.
Here in Dallas, Texas. Well, I'll be in the burger category. I was able to get registered early, and they let me pick my category, so I'm going to be in the burger category.
Really? Well, Mark, I'm going to take no pleasure in just whooping up on you wholesale as we cook with Suzanne Duplantis.
Well, I got a guy by the name of Mike Adams who owns Bow and Vine Restaurants, and I believe he and his son are going to be, at least Mike's going to come and help. We may be looking for a third guy, but we'll be planning our menus out here probably August when they break out the mandatory ingredients or first round burger we got to do. So
right,
it'll be fun.
Very cool, man. Very cool. Do you remember what you cooked for the Grand Throwdown?
Well, we had a few minutes to pick some stuff off the table, and then we got sent over to the pantry where there was meats and canned goods. And I was just going to end up making like a Caesar salad because I had no idea what I was going to do with the minimal stuff that they gave us. And then they switched our baskets. So my basket went to Rebecca Evans, and I got hers. Unfortunately, she had some good stuff. I ended up making some chicken sliders that was on a little Hawaiian roll with some sriracha sauce and some hot mustards and cream cheese for a base, and then some bell peppers and onions and stuff. And there were some kid judges, and they seemed to like it, so I was very fortunate to win.
And you know what? This probably speaks more about me as an Oregonian than it does anyone else or any other competition. But you said sriracha and spicy mustard. And at first I cringed thinking, ooh, that wasn't a good call. And then I was like, wait a minute, you won. And then I kind of went, oh, wait, this is Alabama as well. And so people don't mind their spicy stuff there. See, I have this aversion to putting spicy foods in any competition stuff that I do here in Oregon, because people always say if you go spicy, that is just a death sentence for you.
Yeah, I didn't have a whole lot of items because they only gave us 10 items to work with. So it was just a little bit of cream cheese and butter in a pan and a little bit of spicy mustard and a couple dashes of some sriracha. And I think I even had a can of like spicy diced tomatoes. So I just kind of simmered that all down and I didn't use a whole lot because I knew I was dealing with kids. I wanted something to, give a little flavor to it. So it seemed to work out well. They go, oh, your chicken was tender and this was nice. And, they were rarely articulate. You had a good compliment on your spices and your mixture of this and that. I would go, these are 12-year-olds? But, I think they were the kids of some of the chefs that were there and stuff. So they probably had a good flavor palette.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It reminds me of, gosh, I'm going to mess this up and I'm going to feel really bad about it. Here we go. Ashley McCord. It took me a second to pull that out, but the rep for Ankerstrom, her kids seemed that way. They came by and got a couple of samples from us while we were cooking the burgers. And the same thing, they're very articulate about what they were tasting and how it was. And it wasn't just like, oh yeah, it's good. They were kind of telling me, oh yeah, it's got seasoning in it and it's got enough salt and that's very good. And like they were, being articulate. And I was surprised by that.
Well, it's good to see a younger generation at that age learning these skills, like all these TV shows where you see kid bakers and this, that, and the other, because I think there's a generation above them that are, don't know what they're doing. It's all microwave or, they have to eat out or they end up on the show being the worst cooks in America. So.
It's so true. It's true. And, teaching your kids to cook, that isn't just, it's not just important for, they'll be able to impress their future date that they're going on or whatever. It teaches them to be self-reliant. That's the thing that I like about teaching kids to cook. You're essentially showing them how to fend for themselves, which is empowering. It's an important thing for a child to have at a relatively young age, in my opinion.
Well, in the old days when they had the Galloping Gourmet and Julia Childs, there was a guy, an Asian guy, and his mantra was, if Chan can cook, so can you. So I tell a lot of people, I say, if you can read, you can cook, because there's thousands of cookbooks, and, you just got to take the time and patience to try it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not like you're going to put macaroni in a boiling pot of water and it's going to catch fire. It just, everything takes a little time to learn. And even though you don't quite know what you're doing, you just kind of go for it. I mean, life is all about faking it until you make it, right?
Yeah. Well, you do have to take the pasta out of the bag, though.
Okay. Semantics, Mark. Semantics. And actually, I'm curious about the tiny home experience. So I've been monitoring your progression on Facebook, and the house looks really good. You guys are just kind of getting it put down and getting your additional stuff put in, right? Because they build it a certain way, and then once it's in place, then the builders can kind of come in and almost like remodel, but not exactly. They're just making custom additions, right?
Yes, it's been here for about a month. During the holidays, they had some slowdowns and stuff, and then there was another family ahead of us. But they did start yesterday, and they have it all down on the pads and stuff. They got the wheels and axles off. They'll start skirting it in tomorrow. And then after that, they will add a 15 by 16 or so living room, additional room to the side of the house. So it's got a big size kitchen, so my wife and I will be able to do a lot of cooking and stuff in there and stuff. So it'll be about another month before it's totally done, but we're looking forward to it. And we have posted a few pictures, but we have a friend of ours that's going to come in and with this drone and some cameras and stuff and do a lot of pictures and make like a little virtual open house so that people that don't live here that are foodie friends in other states can actually kind of come to the open house via their iPad or laptop.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. But we're close enough. Hopefully we're cool enough to get the invite to come down.
Yes. You will be one of our first groups of people to come, and it won't be, we can do something a little better than eating lunch in the RV like we did last time.
You know what? That was still a good time, though. I enjoyed that immensely, just sitting there and eating with you guys. We left you a few deviled eggs. I don't think they lasted very long, though, I assume, right?
Right. Yeah, they went pretty fast.
It's hard with that stuff. As a matter of fact, I think I remember that those were deviled duck eggs, which takes it to a whole other level. I'm trying to remember if we smoked anything or if we just used smoked salt in it. But either way, there was a little bit of a smoky element, right?
Yep. And then we got some pickled beets or carrots or cauliflower. I can't remember. There was quite a spread we had that day.
It was probably all the above.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, I know that Kim is still over, taking care of family stuff, and you guys are very much in our thoughts, and I hope that everything is going all right, and I really look forward to seeing you guys, okay?
All righty.
All right, Mark. Hey, thanks a bunch. We will talk to you soon, my friend.
Okay, take care.
Love that guy. Love what they're doing. He and his wife, Kim, have the blog, The Prize of Cooking. Super fun blog. I definitely recommend that you go and check that out. It's just The Prize of Cooking, all one word.com. Head over there and check that out. And they're doing really incredible stuff. He and his wife won the seafood category in 2017 at the World Food Championships. And they are serious food competitors. It's very impressive. So if you're looking for really top quality recipes, especially with things that you can just get right off of the shelf, easy things to make, but things that you may not have thought about making, if you know what I mean. That's kind of the thing that I like about their blog. It's very interesting to read. It gives me lots of recipes, or at least recipe ideas. I'm always going over there and checking out any new feature that they have. So do the same and show them a little love. And we've got another call on the line. Who is this?
Hey, Andy, it's Coy.
Coyson Masterson, what is going on?
Not too much. Just got off work. Heard you're doing a call-in show without me. So I had to call in and let you know that I'm pretty offended.
Sure. That makes sense. But, yeah,
I'm like a 10 on the offended scale right now.
We do what we got to do, though. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, just because you have to drop a show tomorrow and I'm not available for, another week.
I will tell you, though, everybody's going to miss you. I'm going to get messages that legit say this. It's going to be like, why isn't Coy on? And then after they listen to the entire episode, they're going to be like, Coy called in. Why couldn't you have just waited?
Yeah. No, just edit this so I'm on first, and then you won't get any of those messages.
I could do that. I'll edit you to be on first, and then it'll just be like a 10-minute show, and I'll just say, that's the show. Good night, everybody.
Yeah, you want to lead with your best wine. You know what I'm saying?
Best foot forward, no matter what it stepped in that day.
Oh, yeah. I had to fix the sewer line today, so speaking of stepped in.
Ooh.
Yeah, long day. Anyways, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about, it's been a lot of hot barbecue and food competition talk, but what I want to know from you is what you think of the new Supra. Or, excuse me, BMW. The new BMW Supra.
Yeah, the new Super BMW.
Mm-hmm.
I want to like it, but I can't at this point. Raw performance could obviously sway me, but man, it still holds so many of those kind of classic Z4 lines that I can't. I look at it and I see a Z4.
Mm-hmm. And I like the Z4.
I'm okay with the Z4, but not it's never been in a super category, you know. I'm pretty disappointed in Toyota in this one, especially that first concept they dropped. I mean, that thing looked supercar-esque, and this, it looked 23-year-old that married a lawyer headed to the mall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's. I'm disappointed. I haven't seen any of the actual, you know, data come out as far as horsepower and skip pad and Solemn, but I could be swayed there, but I'm not. I don't even see how it's really that any better than the BRZ at this point, just looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really disagree with that. They're talking about 335 horsepower, but that's because it uses the BMW 3-liter, the B58, which is the turbo. But essentially, I mean, I shouldn't say it is the same car as the M240, but my thinking is that there's a lot of shared parts there, if you know what I mean.
No, I'm sure it's going to be the worst Supra in many years, but probably the best Z4 ever. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, so, I was looking at it. The back end,
people will probably be excited.
Well, the back end is really interesting to me because what was that hatchback Z3 that they made? And it was the ugliest thing, yet somehow endearing. Yeah, the Z3 Coupe. It kind of has that look on the back end to me.
A little bit, yeah. I actually like those coupes, and those coupes are going up in value. I was looking at those just the other day for kicks and giggles. I couldn't find one for less than like $20,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's something very endearing about them. I don't know what it is. It just, you see one, you're like, wait, what is that? I kind of want to drive it. You know, it's all of those emotions.
Yeah, they got kind of a 3-legged dog thing coming on where you're like, wow, that's weird. I got to pet this thing so hard. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. 3-legged dog. I hadn't thought of it that way, but yeah.
And those actually are a decent performance car. I don't think that they're that bad of a car performance-wise. I've seen them in a few autocrosses and stuff, and they always seem like they did very well.
Mm-hmm.
A lot better than the standard, you know, Z4s.
Also, I hate to bring this part up, but it doesn't look like it'll be getting a manual transmission.
Oh, wow. Are they going to do some kind of super sequential, or it's just going to be an automatic?
Well, it's being built by ZF, but yeah, no, the documentation on it, all it's talking about is the 8-speed automatic transmission. And by the way, I was right. It shares a lot with BMW. The interior especially. It
shares everything but a couple body panels and some interior. I mean, it's got to be just front fenders, headlights, bumpers that are Toyota, you know, solely, and same for BMW. I'm sure that it's. I'm sure if you buy suspension for the Z4, you could bolt it straight to the Supra.
Yeah, I agree with that. Can I be honest with you? I feel like they'd be further ahead right now if they had just, okay, do the Z4, that's fine, but if the body style was really similar to the Mark IV, and I mean really similar, okay? Like people would look at it and go, huh, that's an interesting body kit on that Whaletail Supra. Like if they had done something like that, I honestly think they'd be ahead of the game now.
At this point, I feel like if they had just done the STI concept of the FRS or BRZ that they kind of teased for a while, they had an all-wheel drive one that they teased with a turbo 4-cylinder. If they had just put that out and thrown a Supra badge on it, people would have been super excited, and there would have been some talk, but nothing like what's going on with it now.
Yeah, I agree.
And you know, they could have done a throwback thing with it because, you know, Supra originally was a Celica Supra. So if they just said FRS Supra instead of FRS STI or whatever, I think most people would be fine with that.
Toyota didn't break off the partnership with Subaru, right? Like they're still doing a thing.
Well, they're still making the FRS, so I'm assuming they are.
It's just that the FRS, everyone has talked about, and anybody that I've talked to that knows anything about the FRS BRZ, I'm thinking back to JP Alonso from Edge. I'm thinking back to Zach from PRE. They both talked about how that motor that's in the FRS, the F820, is actually a really, really good engine and surprisingly strong. There are guys that turboed their BRZ FRS essentially the day that they got them and have been running 400 horsepower through the entire system the entire time, and the engine is just fine. The transmissions, they've gone through a few of those, but those motors seem to be really good. And so I'm actually with you. If they had just offered a turbocharged version, it really looks like this motor, without having to do too much to it, they could have just set it like 280 horse or, somewhere around 300 horsepower and just call it a day.
Oh, and I agree kind of, but I would say if they'd gone all-wheel drive and turbo, like, even if people didn't like that they put the name Super on it, the performance would be so unyielding that they would have to be excited about it.
Yeah, that's true.
Even the most diehard Super guys were like, oh, that's not a Supra. Well, if it's got 350 horsepower, it's all-wheel drive in a roadster configuration, I mean, what's not to like?
Mm-hmm. It's still going to blow the doors off of just about anything, except for probably a Civic Si. It kind of is annoying to me how fast the Civic Si is.
Well, I understand it being annoying, but it shouldn't be that annoying. Just everybody else. I mean, that's what happened when Honda turbos something. Honda's been doing this NA for so long, and they've been competing against all the turbo cars, and then finally they broke down and said, well, we're going to do a factory turbo. Well, of course it's awesome.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It just, I don't know. It's very surprising to me. I was looking at, now I'm going to have to go out and find the article again, but it was a head-to-head shootout, and it was the Civic Type R. It was the new WRX. It was, I think even the Focus RS, which I could not believe, but the Civic was faster on the quarter mile than all of them. It was faster around the skid pad than all of them. It was faster around their track than all of them. And you can almost feel in the article that the editor writing it is like, I promise I'm not making this up. I mean, this thing is just ridiculously fast and we don't know why.
Well, as I shouldn't call myself a Honda fanboy, but Honda enthusiast, I feel like is a good label for me. They make good stuff, and there was a time when that wasn't, if you'd said a Civic was beating a bunch of people on track, nobody would have cared, and then it got to the point where every 16-year-old was building a super clapped out CRX or Civic hatch, and they got super annoying, but they still, there were still a lot of fast ones, and people kind of lost sight of that. And like back when I had my S2000, it was a big deal in the S2000 community. I believe it was the Mugen version of the Civic that came out, and it had a better skip pad and stuff time than the S2000s, and there was a lot of talk about it. So, and what's the German track that everybody's skipping my brain right now?
I'm letting you struggle because you should know what it is. Shame on you for not knowing.
I know what it is, but it's just been a long day. Nürburgring. I can't say it. I still can't get it.
Nürburgring.
Thank you. I can't believe I couldn't spit that out. I was sitting here, Nürburgring. It had a better Nürburgring. I still can't say it.
What you said, by the way, is the Swedish track. The Nürburgring.
That one racetrack where people race on. It posted better time than the S2000 did. I think even in the CR version. And, it was kind of, a lot of people were talking about that, but that didn't make it really out of the Honda world that much because they weren't crushing a bunch of other cars. I'm sure the STI and stuff was still faster. That was an NA car though.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that now that they've basically turboed one that they're getting that kind of performance.
Honda's.
I still will never buy one because it's a Civic, but
well, that EG hatchback you had was pretty awesome. And people ask me sometimes, why were Hondas fast back then, or why were they considered fast? The first thing they say is, why would anybody want to drive these clapped out Honda Civics? And then I have to say, well, back when I was your age, Civics actually could be pretty fast on the cheap. And so people did them. And then the next question is people going, well, how can they be fast? And that's something that I've struggled with. They've got good suspension dynamics, and for the most part, especially the performance Hondas, they all had rear independent suspension, which is not something that's very common on those, late 80s, early 90s front wheel drive cars. And of course, disc brakes all the way around, but there were a few different companies that were doing that. What do you think it was that just gave the Civic such good dynamics?
I think number one is weight. I mean, it was before a lot of these new crash standards, and a bare bones like EG Civic hatch weighed in at like 2,300 pounds with the interior. And I know some of the roll-up window, was it the VX or something? If you gutted it, you could get it down to like 1,900 or something. I mean, ridiculously light, which there's no car, especially today, that even gutted can get close to that.
Right.
And then, double wishbone suspension, you can never really go wrong with. And then as much as people want to hate on VTEC, it was revolutionary and really still is. I mean, there's almost no gasoline engine produced today that doesn't have a version of VTEC in it.
Yeah, no, that's so true. It is really true.
So you could hate on it all you want. It's across the board, pretty much, in every manufacturer has a version of that they've either knocked off or pretty much directly copied. So they had some early advances that were just ahead of their time there. I mean, the double wishbone suspension, lightweight, I guess, isn't ahead of their time, but at the time, cars could still be lightweight. It just was a small window there, and they came out with VTEC engines and high revving, and those B18s were near indestructible.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you combine all that, and at first they were fairly cheap to build, so that helped.
Yeah, those VTEC motors and even the non-VTEC motors for a long time were almost like LS's, but just for the Honda specific community, because getting a Honda motor for a little while, I mean, it wasn't that long. We've talked about this in another episode, how you and I would be looking at these Honda motors that were, and this is after they got popular. And so unfortunately they had hit like $2,500 to buy the motor and a transmission, $3,000 to buy a Type R motor, that sort of thing. And we'd scroll past the SR20s going, well, what's that supposed to go in? And then, one of our other friends would be like, it's that secretary's car. And we're like, nobody wants those. Who'd want one of those?
Yeah, now it's shoes on the other foot. And I had an interesting conversation with a friend the other day, kind of about this, but if you kind of go back with all the cars that are popular to build and were fast, you can basically just follow the money. It's what's cheap at the time that you can stuff big motors in and what's available. So, I mean, you start out, the guys build the Model Ts and all that stuff back in the day, all the Roadsters. That's because those were old cars no one wanted anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Some 16-year-old could grab this thing up cheap, and you could go through pretty much everything that got real popular. And after a while, it would get so popular that they would go up in value, and then the new wave of kids would come in, and they'd find the next cheap vehicle that they could build. So, I mean, it's kind of just done that, and Hondas were there at one point. They got expensive. They died out. It went to the 240s. Like you said, you could pick up a SR20 DET with a 5-speed rear-wheel drive transmission for like $1,400 from a Japanese takeout company, and just throw it in a 240.
Yeah, and instantly be making, let's just pretend that you went ahead and got a manual boost controller, because why not? You're in there anyways. I mean, you can make 200, 220 horsepower pretty easily on an SR. It's not really that big of a deal.
Oh, yeah. And then, of course, the drifting craze hit, so then they all went up even more in value. I'm not really sure what the cheap to-build car is right now, but I think we're moving into it's going to be a V6 world. I mean, you're going to have the 350Zs are kind of the cheap coming up car. You're going to see a lot of crazy builds there. Everybody's throwing V8s and everything now, so I don't know exactly if that's cheap, but seems popular right now.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I do think it's going to be the 350Zs. I mean, they're already cheapish. Let's just go ahead and call them that.
Well, I think it's going to be the 350Zs, but I think you're going to see a lot of these early 2000s Mustangs. I mean, those things are going cheap, and those are powerful cars. I think you're going to see a lot of those builds kind of coming into the high school stuff nowadays.
You're not going to believe this, but I was surfing Craigslist the other day, and now granted, it was not in terrific condition, okay? However, it was a real Mustang GT Terminator. So it had the dual overhead cam, 4.6 mod motor, and it had the independent rear suspension, the 8.8, and it was $5,200.
Yeah.
I remember when those couldn't be had.
Adult. Imagine an 18 or 19-year-old that's been busting his hump at a minimum wage job and then sees that.
Yeah,
There's
no,
a beam of sunshine come through the clouds and hit that thing.
He's just going to buy it and then immediately wrap it around a telephone pole.
Likely, yes. An interesting little sidebar. Do you remember when they came out with that, and then all the Mustang guys lost their mind that it didn't have a solid axle?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but fast forward, now those are super sought after, especially if you're trying to race. That is the only one to get. And I still see, I'll see on Facebook Marketplace, I'll see on Craigslist, people selling the rear ends out of a Thunderbird. That's where a lot of those 8.8s came from. And it's still sought after. I mean, people throw the rear independent suspension from the 80s Thunderbirds. They'll put those under a Fox body because it just makes it handle so much better.
Yeah.
I still have a kind of soft spot for Fox bodies. I've never owned one, and I'm not sure why. I've kind of always liked them, but
probably
other than the classic Mustangs,
I really like those in 5.0s.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. No, I'm with you. I would take a Fox body, although at this point, I don't think there's a good reason to not get an SN95, which is the generation after the Fox body. I do feel like there's more stuff available for that one if you're trying to go racing or just make it fast in general.
Hideous, though.
It's not the prettiest thing. I'll grant you that, but
it has this Saturn view kind of look to it. I feel like the door's made out of plastic when I'm looking at it.
Yeah, but plastic is supposed to be the wave of the future, right? All right, fair enough. Well, hey, Coy, I know you're going to try to get home. It was good talking to you, my friend. And of course, listeners, Coy's going to be back on the show real soon. We're just, working out life and family stuff, and it's a little catch as catch can, but Coy's not going anywhere. He's sticking around.
Of course I am.
For sure, buddy. All right, well, hey, I appreciate you calling, Andy, and we will talk to you soon.
Yeah, man. See you soon.
And there he goes. Why do I feel like I just got caught with my hand in the cookie jar? We love Coy. He's going to be back around, of course. We're just, working out schedules and things like that. And you know what? I think this is a good place to stop, to be perfectly honest. I've got plenty of material here. I think it's been very entertaining this evening. So I am just going to go ahead and have Coy be our last call. I want to thank everyone that called in. Russell, Chris, Mark, and Coy. They were all great to have on the show. I really appreciate them calling in. And the next time we do this, I encourage you guys to call in when you get a chance. And I love to hear from y'all. I love to have you on the show. And I love to make our listeners a part of what we do here. So please always feel free to call into that number. Leave us a message. Or like I said at the top of the show, if I'm in the studio and you call that number, the number is always live, and so you're either going to leave a message or I'm going to be able to pick up the phone. So please feel free always to give us a holler. Love hearing from you guys. And if you want to see more of what we're doing, you can find it over at boostboozebbq.com. That's where this episode's going to be. That's where all of the previous episodes are going to be, as well as iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, Spreaker, SoundCloud, anywhere that you get your quality podcasts, we will be there. And of course, the social media is at BoostBoozeBBQ, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Go out, give us a shout, tag us in what you're cooking, what you're working on, what you're drinking. We always love to see it. And you might get a retweet or a repost from us. So, tag away. We always like to see it. And we thank you guys for tuning in. We thank you for telling a friend. For all of my impromptu guests this evening, this is Andy, and we will see you next time. Boost, Booze, and Barbecue.